like, I'm alive. Buddy.
Hi, friends. We are at the final 3 episodes before our big 100th episode of Stories I Didn't See. And so, we're going to start a 3-part series. It's going to be 97, 98, and 99, and getting ready for that big 100. And this 3-part series is about Tio and I's 3-day adventure to the Channel Islands National Park. And we went to the Channel Islands National Park, which has no hotels, no restaurants, not even a ranger station. We had to backpack and bring on our backs everything with us. So our tent, our food, our water, everything had to be on our back. And we rode a boat, and the boat dropped us off, and we had to hike up to our campsite, and we stayed there for 2 days. And then we hiked back down, and then we took a boat off the island. So this is going to be all about our experience on the island. So the Channel Islands are known as the Galapagos of North America, which the Galapagos Islands are like really diverse with creatures because there's a lot of creatures on the Channel Islands. And what is really cool is that the Channel Islands have not been connected to California in so long. All right. So think about like Coronado Island where I work. It has a little peninsula now that's man-made. But when those seas weren't so high and the water would go down, you can walk right across, right? The Channel Islands is about 30 miles away from the mainland, and it has never been connected in recent history, which means that all the animals on that island have been there for so long that they have kind of they've adapted and evolved in their new environment to be completely different than the animals that we have on the mainland. So there's 3 that are really important, but one we're talking about today. The 3 ones we learned about were we learned about the island fox, which is what we're going to read a story about fox today, and you get to see some island fox we saw on our trip. And then the island foxes are smaller than the foxes we have on the mainland, and each island, because there's about 5 Channel Islands, each of them has their own little subspecies of fox. So we were on Santa Cruz Island, so our foxes are going to be the Santa Cruz subspecies of island fox. We also have the island scrub jay, which is a bluebird, but the scrub jays we have on California, in the mainland of California, are really tiny. But the ones out on the islands have adapted and become bigger, and they've evolved to be big birds versus those tiny ones we have on the island. So island foxes are smaller than ours, and the island scrub jay is bigger. We also saw Catalina quail, which are the quail on the islands that are way different than the California quail. So just a lot of different species. There's even a species of bat that we saw. The species have been apart and away from California for long enough that they've grown and they look completely different than something else. So like you would say an African and an Asian elephant, right? They live in different parts, and so they've adapted to different environments, and so they look different, right? So just like that. So we're going to read this story about foxes, and then we're going to we're going to read the story about foxes, and then we're going to take you to a vlog, which is our videos of day 1 of our camping trip, and we'll look out for some island foxes, and we'll have a good time. All right, here we go. Foxes. These amazing animal books are good. This is our 3rd one we've done, and I really like them. All right. Foxes live around the world. They are members of the dog family, and there are 12 kinds of true foxes. This is an Arctic fox. Foxes have fur and bushy tails. Their ears point up. Their snouts are long and thin, and around the nose are many soft black whiskers. This is a red fox's tail. It's about half the length of its body. Male foxes are bigger than females. The largest kind of fox is the red fox. It weighs about 5 to 30 pounds. Fennec foxes are the smallest. They weigh about 2 to 3 pounds. So this is the smallest, and that's the biggest. Some foxes live in cold northern parts of the world, and some live in dry deserts. Kit, swift, and red foxes make their homes in North America. usually. He's on the desert. Foxes usually eat meat. They hunt more at night than in the daytime. Some foxes also eat plants, and they will eat eggs, worms, and beetles too. Look, he's jumping to get his prey. A mother fox typically has 4 to 6 kits, which is like a litter. They stay in the den with her and for the first 2 weeks. They start learning to hunt after 2 months. Wild foxes usually live 3 to 5 years. Foxes may share a home range with family members. However, the red fox lives alone. Foxes sleep outside or in a den, and a fox may have many dens inside its home range. A fox goes around its home range. It marks the borders so that other foxes know who lives there. Do you know how it marks the borders? It pees. It hunts by itself, and it runs fast to chase prey. A red fox's top speed is 30 miles per hour. Foxes and their kits may be spotted playing near their den in the wild, or foxes can be seen hunting in their home range. It can be excited to hear a fox scream or howl. You see the foxes playing? How did a fox trick a sea monster? Long ago, people believed in a snake-like monster that ruled the seas. The monster was angry with Fox, and Fox had stayed on land instead of becoming a fish. The monster sent Catfish to get Fox, but Fox found out that the monster really wanted to eat Fox's heart. Fox tricked Catfish into returning to land, and Catfish still hides near the bank, and Fox stays far away from the shore. That's a fun little story. All right, so we learned some fox terms. Like a den is where they live, and a kit is what the pups are called. The baby foxes are kits. All right, so we got the little foxes. All right, so the island fox is really rare because it only lives on this island. Only lives on the islands that we were on, not anywhere else. So we're gonna go and see if we can see the foxes, and we're gonna show you. There's gonna be some. We will show you some fox videos today when we went and saw foxes, but you have to come back the next 2 days because that was only the first day we were there. And we saw fox every single day that we were on the island. So you'll have to come back and see more of the foxes, and we'll talk about them today, and it'll be so much fun. And then tomorrow, we're going to talk about the birds that we saw on the trip, all right? All right, here it goes. Let's go to the island. Good morning, friends. We are at Ventura Harbor, which is a town north of Los Angeles, California. And we stayed in a hotel last night because this morning we're taking a ferry boat out to the Channel Islands National Park. And the only way you can get to this park is by boat. And we have to backpack, which means we have to pack everything in one bag. So these are the 2 bags we're taking. There's tents and sleeping bags and everything and food in there because there's literally nothing on the island but foxes and plants. Right, Teal? Yeah. So, that's the adventure for today. It's a nice view from our window, isn't it? We saw some sea lions last night. And we went out to eat, and now this morning we're going to go check into the boat. We on the boat. And the ferry ride was only about an hour away, about 30 miles from the mainland. And we saw this pod of common dolphins. See if you can see the black and white of them. They're a little bit more colored like an orca than they are like a gray bottlenose dolphin. And the Channel Islands used to be a lot closer to the mainland. They've never been connected in recent history. But during the last ice age, when the sea levels were lower, it was only about a 5 mile distance to the islands versus a 20 to 30 mile distance today. And so they think that the foxes got to the island by either riding on a raft with the Native Americans that lived on the island that were going to the mainland, or when the distance was shorter, swimming to the island. The closest relative was the gray fox. And here we are at the beach. You can see right on the left here the pier that we got dropped off at. And then we started our 3-mile hike to our campsite. So it's about 3 miles and it was really hot. But this is our campsite and our beautiful view. We were very tired, so Tio just laid out on the picnic table and fell asleep when we got to our campsite. But at the end of the video, you'll see a box that is our fox box. It's like our bear box, but it's how we keep our food from getting eaten by the wildlife. And here's a time lapse of the sunset. And I'll tell you about the island fox that we saw. They are a lot smaller than their mainland relatives. They're about the size of a cat, like a house cat. And while the sun was going down, we kept looking for them, and then we saw something in our flashlights. I saw the red glowing eyes, and I couldn't see him with my eyes. I could only see his eyeballs. So I brought out my camera, and this is the picture that my camera took. So this is the fox that we saw on that first night. But we saw more foxes every day we were there. So you have to tune in for the next video to see more foxes. And the night was so beautiful. It was, we could see the Milky Way, and we got to watch a SpaceX launch in the night, and the stars are beautiful. And I hope that you see you next time for our day 2 of Channel Islands. Bye!